biggest advantages, in my opinion, is the concept of doing things right the first time.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like when you go through the whole process of starting with requirements to design and so on, you don't wait until late test phases to discover all the problems, but you do this right away, like by reviewing your requirements, involving all the people, checking your architecture before you proceed.
Right. So the whole concept of preventing failure or finding failure early.
Exactly.
Yeah. Fail early, of course, is a very big principle in startups and technology. Fail fast. This is your same adage in developing a product. You want to find the failures early, so you need to analyze early. And of course, you started to sound a little bit waterfallish there with the requirements and the design, and we don't want to work like that, do we?
But you rescued it.
But I rescued it. No, but I think it's, first off, the waterfall is so horribly misunderstood. And another colleague and I are always spouting about the original paper. Doesn't actually talk about it going this, then that, then that, then that, all the way through the whole program. It actually talks about iteration, just like agility is iterative. But
yeah, so today we do a waterfall cycle in one day.
Exactly.
And we call it continuous integration.
That's right.
Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah, yes.
So we combine this ancient approach with newest methods.
New techniques.
Like in agile way of working.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you can call agile new because it's probably almost 20 years old, and the stuff that it's built.
Really? It is 20 years.
Yeah, early 2000s. When was that first? I think it's 2001. So
Oh, so long is it?
So long,
yeah.
And it's built on principles of project management that are even older than that. But they take the old principles and they build new capabilities and technologies on it. They put it in a better framework. I think a big part of agility is the self-directed teams and the self-motivated.
The most important thing for me is this grassroots movement that we experienced with agile methods.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing? Do you have any explanation for this? Why was it such a grassroots success?
I can tell you how the theory, or maybe the reality of why it came about to begin with, because the 90s was this misguided explosion of the 6-inch process notebook shelfware that
based on CMMI.
Yeah, unfortunately. and this attitude that global companies were beginning to become more connected in the 90s and had this initial misconception that we must behave consistently globally. We must have one global process and we must invest to make everybody work exactly the same. Oh, it was horribly misguided, and it gave process a lot of bad names. And it made for a lot of ineffective processes and procedures and inefficient companies. And so, agility came out as a kind of a, I wouldn't say a rejection of that outright. It was there are aspects of this that are very important.
It's like a counter-revolution.
Bit of a revolution, but it was revolution on priorities, not a revolution on terms. Requirements are still important, but having a product that works is important.
Sounds good.
So these priorities needed to shift, and the approach needed to shift because instead of there being, in automotive, we had this space where, we would develop the code and we'd have the delay for manufacturing the masked ROM. So there was 8 weeks of delay for that, and then there's manufacturing the module, and you had to build up inventory and then ship inventory. And that was paralleled in the PC world. You had to write the code, you had to build the media, had to distribute the media to the resellers, and then the resellers had to sell it to people manually going to get it. When the distribution cut out, it meant all the pressure fell back on the developer because the time to money was now no delay in building CDs or DVDs, no delay in getting distribution. It was the delay in getting the code out of the developer. And that pressure became immense. And now that pressure is, of course, transferring to automotive because we want to flash over the air. So there's no delay. It was long been no delay in making a masked ROM. So you can always reflash, but there's been delays in getting modules manufactured and cars manufactured, but those delays are going away. We're going to deliver live to the vehicles, and this is now going to put the pressure right back on the developers, and it's going to bring a risk of bad behavior because now there's no buffer. There's no place to catch the failure before it goes live unless you're doing a good job of avoiding the failure. Because it's too difficult to catch them all.
Sounds good. Well, now, when looking at Agile and automotive space, there's this a theory that we often hear that when you do Agile, you can do what you want. Forget about all the rules, forget about documentation.
That's right.
It's total freedom.
Yeah, you've got it.
But how does that
the
go together with automotive space?
You just explained it perfectly. Agile is an excuse for us to finally get rid of that process notebook from the 1990s. Finally, just toss it all out the door because there is nothing valuable there at all. How could it be?